Hello, my name is Jared Fairclough.
And I'm Joe Hennis.
And welcome to Introduce Our Guest Star, a podcast for toughpigs.com. In this show, Joe and I are taking it in turns to surprise each other with this week's guests, and this week it is my turn. Joe, now you don't know who's coming.
I have no clues whatsoever.
No, now regular listeners will know that I'm up on you 2-0. I've guessed your last two people.
Yes.
Jen Barnhart was a complete stab in the dark.
I mean, I'm genuinely impressed. Don't get me wrong, but
So
I'm also super jealous. Like, I really want to get one. I want to get one.
I'm really rooting for you to get someone. All right. So
I
ask the
appreciate
questions,
that.
and because I would actually, it's not a contest. I would actually like you to get it correct.
I don't need to get more than you. I just want to get. I just don't want to feel dumb, Jared.
No.
I don't like feeling dumb.
Ask some questions, Joe, and we'll see if we can get you someone.
All right. Well, let's start with that old chestnut. Muppets, Sesame, or Henson?
Muppets.
Okay. Is this person a Muppet performer?
They are not.
Okay. Would you consider this person? Let's see. Are they a writer?
Yes.
Oh. Have they written something for the Muppets like in the past, I don't know, 5 years?
No.
So potentially old-timer Muppet writer, or someone who has written for the Muppets.
Yes.
Who the hell could that be?
Well, ask some more questions.
Oh, man. Well, so I can ask more than those because I feel like...
Yeah, I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more
guess. Give me one more question. All right.
Yeah.
Has this person written for a Muppet movie?
Yes.
Okay. I have it narrowed down to two people in my mind.
Okay.
All right, let me ask. Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
Will you give me one more? Has this person appeared on screen with the Muppets
No.
in the movie? Okay. Is it Nick Stoller?
Joe, let me tell you, my guest star today is the writer and director behind some of the great comedies of the past 15 years. I'm talking Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Get Him to the Greek, The 5-Year Engagement, and The Neighbours films with Seth Rogen. Seriously, check out this guy's IMDb and you'll see just how many great films he's had his hand in. Us Muppet fans might know him best for co-writing the 2011 Muppets with Jason Segel and Muppets Most Wanted with James Bobin. Joe, you got it correct. Would you please welcome to introduce our guest star, Nick Stoller.
I got one! Yay for me!
Yay for you!
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hey, Nick.
Hey, nice to see you guys.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
This is a genuine pleasure. I'm such a big fan.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I'll tell you now, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, one of the all-time great comedies.
Thank you very much. That means a lot. Thank you. Are you in New Zealand?
No, I'm in Australia.
Australia? Sorry.
Yep. It's fine. You know what? It's a compliment at the moment. We like New Zealand at the moment.
I'm in New York. Not that you asked, but
oh yes.
I don't have a funny accent like Jared.
Yeah.
Nick, thank you so much for being here. This is, as I said, it's a genuine pleasure. I've been a fan of yours for years and years and years.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you. It's always weird. It's always like with Zoom meetings. It's been over a year of this, and yet it's still now it's becoming totally normal. You know, just Zooming.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Isn't it awful that it's being completely normal? Like, I don't want it to be normal. I want it to be a weird thing that we're going to look back on and say, "Boy, that was awful." But now it's like I feel like being in person is going to be.
That's going to be weird. Yeah. Now when I watch movies where people are just like in bars and stuff, I'm like, get it. Why are you so close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a country where, you know, a lot of our lockdowns have ended now, and I don't like that I can't mute my friends.
It's like totally normal in Australia, right?
Give or take. We just had a 5-day lockdown, which was no fun, considering we were out for about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But fingers crossed, we're a lot better than we were, say, 6 months ago.
And now, is a lockdown just means everyone sits in their homes, or is it like, or what does a lockdown mean?
So everyone sits in their homes, and the only stores that are open are, say, grocery stores, petrol stations, things like that. So basically, you couldn't go with more than 5 kilometers from your home. Oh,
and then do they track you with your phones and stuff, or how do they track, or is it just the honor system?
Yeah, just the honor system. But if you get pulled over and you don't have a legitimate reason, you got fined something like $2,000 or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I like societies where people are like, we all depend on each other. I like that idea. Too bad we don't live in that country.
No.
No.
Nope.
Nope, not in America.
No. Well, Nick, so as you know, I'm completely unprepared for this interview because I only just found out a minute ago that we would be talking to you. So I'm gonna do my best to come up with some really hard hitting questions for you.
I know exactly.
First of all, I'm pretty sure we met before at the red carpet premiere for Muppets Most Wanted.
I feel like I
like very briefly.
Yes.
Yeah, I was the guy who was there.
With the microphone.
There's no way you would remember me. Yeah, right. Actually, we were recording you on an iPhone because we don't have equipment. We don't have a budget.
Exactly.
So it's good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Hello. So I think the biggest question, I'm gonna kind of jump around timeline wise, but at the time we were so excited about Muppets Most Wanted. I had just seen it the night before with the press screening, and we knew it was like, this is a good movie. It's a great Muppet film. I still look back on it as like, man, it was so good, and I'm so disappointed that it didn't do better in the end. But we were kind of already thinking that day, what's going to be the third one? What's going to kind of wrap up the trilogy for you guys?
Right.
Did you have a third one in mind at the time?
I don't know if we did. I'm trying to remember. I don't think we did. I've started to become like, the more movies one makes and the more you work in this industry, the more you're like, oh, you have no idea what's going to work or not work, in terms of, so I don't get superstitious necessarily, but I don't get too far ahead of myself in terms of thinking like, oh, this will be the next one or that will be the next one, next story or whatever. I don't think James and I thought what the next one would be. We didn't really I don't think we had an idea what it would be. Can't remember.
I do recall James saying to me that day that he would love to do a movie, a Muppet movie in New York, like kind of like his Muppets Take Manhattan. I don't know if that was anything beyond like, I don't know, New York would be cool.
Yeah, I think, it might have just been New York would be cool. I mean, my favorite Muppet movie, simply only because it's, you end up with the VHS tape, at least for my age, of like, that was in your closet that you watched over and over again, is Great Muppet Caper. And so Great Muppet Caper I watched a million times. Like, it was years later I saw the Muppet movie, which I'm sure most people think is like the best one, but I still love Great Muppet Caper the most, just because I've seen it the most. And so that was definitely an homage. Muppets Most Wanted was definitely an homage to that in a big way. Like, that was the one that
for sure.
Bobin and
that's
all the time.
Super obvious.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the homage. I mean, both of those movies, the Muppets being in its way a great homage to both the Muppet movie and the Muppet Show.
Oh yeah.
I would love to know about some of the changes that the script went through. I've seen like one earlier version of the script, but I know that you and Jason Segel had kind of pitched something completely different.
The Muppets.
Completely different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I meant the Muppets.
Oh yeah, that first script that I've seen of it is wildly different.
It's very different. Yeah. We wrote that. It was like years of development, because basically what was happening is there was the head of Disney at the time was friends with Frank Oz, who had his own Muppet movie in development. This is what I found out later. And so I think we were just kind of in a holding pattern. And then that guy, head of Disney, was fired, as every head of every studio is always fired, and was replaced. And the person who replaced him was not friends with Frank Oz and didn't care, and was like, I like the script and I like these guys. And so then it started going really fast,
interesting.
So that's like kind of like, I think some of why the development took so long. It was just like some, but our original script, they were Jason and Walter were street performers. They were street performers in Venice, as I remember it, and he knew he was a puppet, and the whole thing was he would pretend to be like he would do this whole amazing routine, but pretend but like as if he was Jason's puppet. But the rules of the Muppets, which then all the people who work with the Muppets, all the Muppeteers read it, were like, one of the rules is they're not puppets, they're people, they're characters, and so that whole idea just didn't work. And so then we started, revising it. over year or two, and then eventually then when James Bobin came on, he had his notes, which were to make it more to kind of do, it's like the normal director notes of just like, turning scenes into musical numbers and stuff, and making the musical numbers the story points of the movie. And so that was the next kind of adjustment. And then they shot it, and then it was almost the closest I can think of was like an animated movie where they shot it, and then James shot it, and then we watched, he did a million different cuts. We brought it to Pixar, they gave notes, and then we did a bunch of rewrites for reshoots, which is like, I've done reshoots on every movie I've ever done. It's like how you make good movies. And it was, and then we kind of fixed some stuff at the end. So that was kind of the journey of it.
I remember reading in an earlier version of the script that there was a twist that Tex Richmond was going to be Kermit in disguise. Is that true?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. It's so long ago now, weirdly. And then we ended up doing that with the evil Kermit in Muppets Most Wanted. So I'm trying to remember if
right, yeah.
There was a lot more Tex Richmond in our drafts. I remember we had a lot of Tex Richmond. We found that character so funny and silly.
There's that great sequence that was cut, and I don't know why, because it's a great sequence where
the rap is so funny.
Like in the middle of his rap where he reveals his backstory about how the Muppets came to his birthday party and he didn't laugh and the kids laughed at him or something like that. It seemed like important information to have.
It's funny I've had this happen. I had this happen on Sarah Marshall, actually. Audiences don't care about the villain. They don't want to know. They don't care. I had a whole sequences in Sarah Marshall where you're with Sarah Marshall and she has a whole set piece with Russell Brand, and there's this whole thing happening, and the audience watching, there was no laughing. No one gave a shit about her. She was just the bad guy, even though I don't think she is in that movie. And it was the same thing with Tex Richmond. I think that rap and that song is so funny, and audiences were like, we don't care. Like, he's the bad guy. So it's like this very like you're on your journey. Yeah, it's just like a weird movie making thing, I found it.
Yeah.
No, well, you mentioned like Walter before, and then obviously Evil Kermit being Constantine.
Yeah.
What goes into creating a new Muppet? Is that something do you have to work sort of closely with Muppet Studio to say, hey, we want to introduce a new Muppet, and then they put notes in? Is it just, hey, this is what we come up with, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it all started with the story. So with Walter, we knew the story we were going to tell was about Jason, and at first it was his friend, but then they become brothers, like realizing they have to grow up and grow apart from it. They have to grow up, basically. And that, for Walter, that means joining the Muppets, and for Jason, that means marrying Mary. And so it just came from the story, I mean, that's those characters, the character of Walter. And then in Muppets Most Wanted, it was the same thing. We were like, it would be so funny to have an evil Kermit. And then the development of the character, once the story is working and the character is integral to that, then the development of those characters are all about, the various Muppeteers who voice those Muppets. And so they're working closely with James to like really develop the nuances and to make those characters come alive. It's a very much all movies are real collaborations, and they're the actors. The Muppeteers are the actors in Muppets, and so once the final stage of development is really in the puppeteer's hand and the director's hand.
Well, with that as well, like, you also brought back Uncle Deadly in the Muppets.
Yeah,
he was a character that hadn't been around for how long, Joe? Like, a good couple of decades.
Yeah.
So
I mean, maybe like in the background of a thing here and there.
And nowadays,
not prominently since the Muppet Show days.
And nowadays, he is a lot of people's favorite Muppet, and it's that movie that brought him back. So then, why him? I guess is the question. But also, how did you and Jason go about reconciling what we already knew about Deadly and doing this new version of Deadly?
That was, Uncle Deadly was James Bobin. I love the Muppets, but I don't, to be perfectly honest, and they're like I always call the Muppets the gateway drug for comedy nerds. I think I probably and so they're a huge inspiration for me, but I'm not, maybe I just have a bad memory. I don't know all the Muppets. I know most of them, but I don't actually. James Bobin is obsessed with the Muppets and knows and he also has a brain that he can remember everything. And so he came in and he was like, well, we've got to have Uncle Deadly. Uncle Deadly has to be the bad guy. And we were like, okay. And he just had a very clear idea of which obscure Muppets could be just really funny. And that's James that's James's talent and genius that he brought to it, was just kind of knowing these certain specific weird Muppets could be, kind of big characters, and Uncle Deadly was one of them. He was super pro Uncle Deadly. I think I literally had to look him up on YouTube because I didn't know who he was talking about.
Was there anything along the lines of like, a background character or an obscure joke or reference to a Muppet thing that you personally have a connection to that you felt strongly about? Like, no, we got to get this reference in there. We got to get this character in there because I love them so much.
I'm trying to think if there was for the first Muppets. I mean, the character
or either of the movies.
I always like, yeah. I'm trying to think. No, I mean, there wasn't like, I just love I'm a very basic Muppet fan. Like, I just love the main Muppets.
Yeah.
I love like Gonzo and Kermit and Fozzie and, so there wasn't, I don't think there was. I mean, I'm very proud. I think, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure 80s Robot was my creation, and that I was really proud of.
Oh, nice.
I was like, that's just gonna be a really funny character, and I was obsessed with that sort of Omnibot when I was a kid. So, but yeah, that for me there wasn't really any character that came back. I mean, I was excited to see them all, to see them all come back, but there wasn't one. I think Animal. I just love Animal. Animal really makes me laugh. And
so you were like, guys, I'm gonna stand up for myself. We we have to have Animal in this movie, just hands down. And everyone was like, yeah, fine, great.
I'm not really the like, I know all the Muppet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
you don't need to.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I'm sorry.
There's lots of different types of Muppet fans out there.
Exactly.
And it's funny, Jared and myself, like, we're like completely obsessed with Muppets. Obviously, we run the Muppet fan site.
Yeah.
But we also recognize that the people who kind of run in our circles may not be the best to like write a Muppet thing, because it's not like, Muppet things are great because they have obscure Muppets in them. They're great because they're written well, they're performed well, they're funny, the music is great, the celebrities are great, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot more that goes into it than just, like, oh, hey, I love Mildred, let's put Mildred in the background.
Right, exactly.
Speaking of creating these original characters, which, by the way, it's super exciting that like you are someone who created several original Muppets. Like that's pretty cool. Especially in a world where like we haven't had original Muppets since like the 90s. So, yeah. So Walter, I assume he came from like Jason's psyche first.
Yeah.
Of all. That seems obvious. Where did the name come from?
We just thought of it. I think it was just, I can't remember. I'm sure it was just Jason just said it. He was like, oh, it should be Walter. It just sounded like a Muppety name. Like, there wasn't really anything.
No, sure.
And then that character developed. He was always innocent in every draft. He was always innocent and really wanted to be a Muppet. Like I think that was always his thing. The thing that we added more nuance was them becoming brothers and them being connected to each other. We always knew we wanted like Jason to have a love interest that he was like not sure about. He was afraid to commit to. Like that was always part of it. But it was more a story of two roommates who performed together in our original drafts, and it was like they're literally brothers. And then as we pushed it, it became clear that they should be in like kind of like a fantasy world at the beginning, not like living in LA, and go to LA, or go to a city, a human city. So that, that all started to feel like almost like a Pleasantville kind of town at the beginning. So, but Walter, I mean, he developed in terms of the backstory, but he kind of was always an innocent, that just seemed like a fun character. And as Jason was an innocent.
Sure, yeah.
So then where did the whistling come from?
I love whistling, and we were like, oh, it would be really funny if that was the reveal that he's just really good at whistling. Like it just seemed, so it became like, and we also is the stupidest talent. And we were like, oh, it has to be a really dumb talent. Because if he has like this incredible, like he's an incredible cellist or something, you'd just be like, it's just not funny. It has to be both like impressive and stupid. So that whistling seemed to fit the bill.
First of all, I love the fact that you say I love whistling. Like you're a big fan of whistling.
I love whistling. I personally, I have no musical talents, but I am a pretty good whistler. So I mean, it's not, again, but even saying that is like, it's like so dumb.
So was it a challenge to figure out, now that we've kind of established like who Walter is and how he kind of completes this journey to join the Muppet Troupe by the end of the first film? Was it a challenge to figure out what to do with him in the second movie?
A little bit. We knew that it wasn't going to be. As James and I started to like figure out what the plot of the second movie was, it became clear that it couldn't really be built around Walter in the same way, just because it wasn't his story. It was a story about Kermit and Piggy, and and their relationship and stuff. And so it was kind of like we tried to figure out like what the story would be like. What was the next story we wanted to tell, and like once we figured that out, it's all the pieces started to fall into place, and the Walter piece, it became clear that it just wasn't going to be about him as much.
Right. It's interesting because he's a character who he in the context of like this traveling troupe of performers, he doesn't serve a very clear purpose. Like he's not, like Beauregard, who the guy who cleans up, or he's not in the band, playing playing an instrument.
Yeah.
So we don't really see him. I mean, he has like 1 second where he whistles in the movie just to get everyone's attention, but we don't see him ever perform as a whistler beyond that. Not that I think that he has no purpose. I mean, personally speaking, as a Muppet fan, I appreciate that. Like, yes, when the fan gets to hang out with them, and he is very busy being a fan.
Yeah, he's the Muppet. He's the fan. he's exactly right. Yeah,
for sure. So to figure out like, so why is he there? What is he doing? And obviously, you guys figured out a little, C plot for him. Is he's one of the characters who discovers that Constantine's replaced Kermit, and he goes after him to the gulag. But I mean, was that always kind of part of your personal plan to like take this character that you've introduced in the first movie and to like give him a prominent role, or to figure out what his overall role is with the Muppet Troupe?
I mean, I think in Muppets, he was a stand-in for Jason and I, who are massive Muppet fans, and so his purpose in that movie was to be a fan and to be such a huge fan that his enthusiasm for the Muppets brings them back together, and that's he's kind of the heart of that movie in a way, because he brings them back. And it was honestly coming from where Jason and I were, where we were just like, where are the Muppets? They're so amazing. They're so like, it's such a hilarious thing. Like, why aren't they? So he was kind of all of our feelings about the Muppets in a character. And then we told that story, and he just wasn't as important for the second story, because the second story isn't about fandom and stuff. We very intentionally pivoted away from that kind of story. And James and I were like, let's do like a crime story, because that's like that's another, the Muppet movies do these awesome genre stories. And so we were just like, we've done the like, touching, let's bring the band back together story, let's do a crime story. And as we just kind of worked it out, we were like, he's going to be one of the many characters in the movie, but it's, it's a little bit like, I'm trying to think, like, I feel like in like the Toy Story movies or whatever, the focus shifts to different characters. Obviously, you always have Woody and Buzz, but even like Buzz gets a little bit sidelined by the fourth one, and so you're just, whatever when you're developing stories in movies, the story ends up demanding who you end up focusing on, so that was kind of how it ended up shifting. It just was a different kind of story.
So I don't mean to like slam the idea of like Walter doesn't have a reason to be there in the second movie.
Oh, no.
But like no, but I agree. Like there's a real purpose to having like this huge clump of Muppets that are always just kind of around. Like I mean, I'm sure I could rattle off a dozen Muppets that I don't know what their purpose is, but they're always there. Yeah. They're always hanging out in the background. What's Scooter doing? I don't know, but he's there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so I think he still has the same enthusiasm. I think in Muppets Most Wanted, he's also the one who's like, there's something wrong with Kermit. He's such a huge fan. He sees there's something wrong with Kermit, while others don't, because he recognized like so that was the way we used him, was that his massive fandom meant that he was the first one to see that something was wrong.
So you mentioned before, the first one's obviously the heartwarming, story. The second one, is this caper, really. Was that an intentional thing to be like, right, the first one is, remember the Muppets? Like, how great are the Muppets? And then the second one, was that just now let's just show what they can do?
Yeah, I mean, I think as we were cracking that story, both James and I said it already, but one of our favorite movies is The Great Muppet Caper. And so it just seemed fun to do something in the crime genre. And we'd already told the story of getting the band back together. And so we were like, well, let's do a crime story. It just seemed fun. And then it very quickly flowed. Like that wasn't a very hard development in terms of us figuring out what made it funny. And, but it seemed like, I mean, and it also like, it's also, you have to look when you're developing, I've done a lot of original stuff, but Muppets obviously isn't original. You look at what worked, and like what worked with that was starting with the Muppet movie, which was like introducing this group of, Muppets and like having them all get together. And then they were like, well, we told that story, what we're going to do next. And they got into genre pretty quickly. And so it just seemed like the natural, there wasn't like, all you could really do after the first one was then have them like break up again, and it's just like not really what you want to see happen in a Muppet movie. It's just like sad. So we were like,
Yep.
let's have a crime story. Let's test the bonds of this group by replacing Kermit with a bad guy and see what happens. Like that felt like the fun kind of, and let's go hard for the comedy, and and we'll have some sweet moments, but that was the goal, at least. So.
Is there a reason after, like, you had, by this point you directed Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Into the Greek?
Yeah.
Was there a reason you didn't direct the films?
Yeah, I just didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I had the right talent to do it. Like, it's a very specific, like, I mean, James Bobin is really, really funny, but he's also very visual. And like Flight of the Conchords is essentially the Muppets, but with people from New Zealand. It's like and like he has like he's really good at directing music videos and big musical numbers and stuff. And it was like, when I was looking at it and thinking about it, and it definitely was hard for me to decide, but I was like, I just don't think have the brain to do this. This isn't like what I'm good at, and so that's why I ended up not doing it. And I certainly, like, I had a lot of doubts as I said no. I was like, am I making a huge mistake? But then as soon as we started to see what he was doing with it, as soon as we started meeting with him, he's also an old friend of mine. So like, we're actually friends outside of this industry. But as soon as we sat down with him and started to break the script with him, it was just like, it was so clear that it was good that he was doing it. It wouldn't have been what it became without him. And that's true of like any collaboration. The more collaborators you have, if you're on the same page, the better something becomes. So.
When talking about collaboration, obviously you've got Brett McKenzie writing the songs. And I reckon Muppets Most Wanted in particular has the best soundtrack to a Muppet movie, aside from the Muppet movie.
The songs are so good in that movie.
Oh my god, we're doing a sequel is like just below Rainbow Connection. I love that song.
Wait, can I just say the Something So Wrong or Something So Right? I'm still genuinely hurt in my heart that it wasn't nominated for an Academy Award.
Oh, yeah.
There's absolutely no reason. That song kills me.
I sat in that film. I sat watching that movie, and I thought to myself, I cannot wait to watch Celine Dion and the Muppets sing this at the Oscars. And then it didn't get nominated, and I will die on that hill.
It was crazy it didn't get nominated. That movie, that song is like perfect, and the way it was shot was just beautifully shot, and the whole thing, yeah. We're doing a sequel was the first thing we thought of. Like James and I, like before we really had the story, we were like, oh, we got to do a show. And originally Muppets Most Wanted was called Muppets Again, which we just thought was the funniest title. But they were like, this is a little bit too cynical. But we were like, but that's what they are. They're kind of cynical. And so that's why that song ends with the Muppets Again. It's the Muppets Again, because then the big title was going to come up, the Muppets Again. But they were like, no, that's not. We can't sell that.
They were wrong. They were 100% wrong. It's
I think they might have been in retrospect. I think the Muppets Again would have been a funnier way to sell it.
So if the original title from Muppets Most Wanted was Muppets Again, did you always intend for the Muppets to be called the Muppets, or did that have another working title before you just settled on? No, like bare bones, just the Muppets.
I think it was just the Muppets. I don't remember there being another title for that.
So then, when it comes to the songwriting, is that you working with Brett? Is that him working and then coming to you guys? Or is it all sort of, just a big mishmash of collaboration?
So we had in the script, like, what's his name? They sing about whether they're a man or a Muppet. Jason and Walter sing about whether they're a man or a Muppet. And so it would just be like, that would be the description of the song. And then so he would take that, he would know that was the story point, and then he would turn it into a song. And so he knew what the story point of each song was. Maybe we'd give him a title, sometimes not, sometimes we did. I think we almost always gave him a title or something close to one. And then he came back with these amazing songs. And then we would sometimes do punch up on them, but he's such a brilliant songwriter that we wouldn't need to do much. But sometimes he would send the lyrics and stuff. He would send like these little demos that he would do in his studio of just him playing the piano and singing. And then we would like pitch jokes and lyrics and stuff for him. But for the most part, he would just come back with these kind of perfect songs. I mean, he's just a brilliant, super funny guy. So, but if we had a lyric that was, funny or whatever, he'd include it. It wasn't, so.
Because we've heard some of those demos on the Muppets Most Wanted soundtrack. They included those. And
yeah,
it's amazing to hear those. One thing that was interesting to me was that Brett did the character voices for a lot of the different ones, and like some of them, it's like, yeah, I get it. Like it's a song between Kermit and Piggy. He's gonna do a Kermit and Piggy impression or whatever it is. But some of them, it's like you can hear he's like, okay, that's Floyd, that's Sam, that's Dr. Teeth, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Was that just him kind of saying like, I think it'd be fun to have these characters in there, or was that something that you guys had in the script of like we're gonna have multiple characters, and Brett's like, okay, well, I guess this is what that would sound like.
I can't remember. I think sometimes we would be like, this is a song that has all these characters. I mean, especially with James, I'm sure, first of all, James, I'm sure, was having conversations with him as the director that I wasn't privy to. So I'm pretty, given how much James is obsessed with the Muppets and knows exactly what characters he wanted, I'm sure he was telling him what characters he wanted in those songs, but I'm not sure. I mean, but Brett would sing in all those voices just so we could get a sense of what the song would sound like with all those characters. Like, I don't think he, and I'm sure he enjoyed doing it because he's a performer, but like, that was to get a sense of each of the songs. So, yeah.
Was there ever any talk of looping in Jermaine Clement as a songwriter as well? I know he appears in Muppets Most Wanted, but it would have been cool to get a little Flight of the Conchords reunion.
I know, he's so funny. That was all James's decisions. I'm not sure if Jermaine... I think that I could be wrong. I think that Brett writes is more of a songwriter as his career, and Jermaine is more of an actor as his career, and that's kind of how they I think that's how they do their stuff. So it was never even part of the conversation. I don't think there was, for no other reason than I think that that's just how they do their stuff. I think Brett likes being at home writing songs, and Jermaine likes acting and stuff, and so yeah. So I think that's how that
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Now, the 5-year engagement I love as well. And that movie ends with Emily Blunt's character and Alison Brie's character having quite a heartfelt conversation as Cookie Monster and Elmo.
Yeah.
And I love that scene so much. Can you talk a little bit about you crafting that scene and sort of directing it as well with those guys?
So that was based on my daughter. I have 3 daughters, and my oldest one, who's now 13, at the time was... What was that movie? That was she. At the time, she was 3, and she would make us talk in voices all the time. So, and we didn't. She didn't have her 2 younger sisters weren't born yet, so we were her playmates. So my wife and I would be talking to each other, and she'd be like, "Do Elmo voice, do Elmo voice, do Elmo voice," and then I would have to be like, "Where did you put milk on the list?" And like my wife would be like, "Yeah, I did." Otherwise, she wouldn't shut up. Basically, she would just keep telling. And so that was where the comedy idea came from. Was just like, it was something she would insist, and it's something that both of our other kids have done too. I don't think it's uncommon for your kids to do that. And so that was the comedy premise. And then I was talking to Segel about it, and I think I was like, she should keep insisting that she do Elmo voice. Yeah, so like I thought it'd be fun for one of them to have to talk like Cookie Monster, or one of them to talk like Elmo. And then I think Jason was, as I remember, again, it was a while ago, he was like, and she should make the other one talk like Cookie Monster. And I was like, oh, that's really funny. And so that was kind of how it shook out. And then, I mean, this is like such a collaboration story. Then we wrote the scene, and then Rodney Rothman, who is the brilliant comedian, comedy writer, and a producer on that, and has since worked on the Jump Street movies and stuff. He came up with some of the funniest lines in that scene. He was on set and just pitching lines. And then Alison Brie and I don't know if they worked on it on their own time. They must have, but they came in with pitch perfect voices for
I'm gonna
that.
say that the impressions aren't bad at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're both so funny. Allison and Emily are just like the funniest. They're super funny actors. So yeah, they just came in with that, and we didn't really do much improv. It was pretty scripted. We threw a few jokes out on the day, but it was pretty scripted, and then it just cut together and it destroyed. I mean, as soon as we played it in the movie theater, people were like, it was one of those like great experiences watching that scene play out. So.
Did you have to get permission from Sesame Workshop to do that, or I don't know? I mean,
No.
was that even on your radar? You just did it.
Yeah, you don't have to. If you don't see anything, if you don't see like the toy, or you don't, you can do voices and stuff. Yeah.
Well, on that, then,
Interesting.
you didn't Elmo have a cameo in the 2011 film, or he wanted to have a cameo, but wasn't it you couldn't get the rights to him or something? I feel like I heard that somewhere.
Yeah, we wanted Elmo in it. I can't remember. We had some joke with Elmo, and we couldn't get Elmo, and I don't remember why. There was some, but we had a joke. We had an Elmo joke that he was too. I can't remember what it was, or something.
I've heard two different stories. Maybe one of these will ring a bell to you. I don't know if maybe neither of them are true. But one is that Elmo was going to be like with the other celebrity guests like Whoopi Goldberg and the Disney kids and all that who show up to help with the telethon. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I heard was that Elmo was supposed to have Pepe's cameo where he was Piggy's dance partner in her dressing room.
Yeah. I think
no idea
the dance partner sounds right. That sounds right. I'm not sure, but that sounds right.
That would be really fun.
Yeah. I'm glad that I don't do anything important like Watergate because I have a terrible memory.
But you don't need to know these things. Like the movie's done. It's out. Like you're not making it again.
As soon as one of these movies are locked and done, I like forget everything about it. Yeah.
Sure.
There was something. I think it might have been the dance. I think it was the dance partner thing because it was some sort of moment where we needed a big cameo, and I think we might have had something where like Elmo had like security around him or something because he's such a big famous puppet or whatever.
Yeah, that's funny.
But then they were like, no, we can't. It's their own Sesame Street. So yeah.
So we mentioned Pepe. He's a character that didn't really have a lot to do in the two films, and it makes sense because it's such a giant ensemble piece anyway. When it came to, say, him and Rizzo and stuff like that, like you even had a joke in the second one where Rizzo makes a point of saying that I don't think he got a line in the first movie or whatever it was. So how did you go about was it a conscious decision to be like, look, we might have to set those guys aside for the moment, especially someone like Pepe, who is a lead Muppet nowadays, and arguably was then as well. Was it just a case of, look, we kind of need to, set some of these guys back a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's only so much screen time. I don't think there was any, choice, really. It was more just it was more like you just only have so much time. You can have so many, Muppets. So I think that was mainly how that shook out. There wasn't really a big choice to it because I certainly like both those Muppets. We just, and I bet you at times we had both of them in the scripts and in drafts. I bet you there's stuff where they shot them and cut it, but you're always cutting it down to time. And the first movie in particular went through a lot of iterations as we tried, as James tried to find it. So I'm sure there's footage of them doing stuff, but it's just like you end up cutting it to the bone if you to make it a fun romp.
Well, that Rizzo line, I went and saw that movie with my friend Sean, and people turned around and looked at him because he was laughing so hard at Rizzo's line.
So that alone makes it worth it that Pepe did, or that Rizzo didn't have any lines in the first movie. I'm curious what kind of homework you had to do before writing each of these movies or during writing each of these movies. Like, were you kind of told, like, obviously it sounds like before Muppets Most Wanted, you probably revisited Great Muppet Caper. But were you like given specific Muppet Show episodes to watch? Do you have to revisit like some of the 90s Muppet productions to kind of see maybe some of the more recent characters, things like that?
No, there wasn't really. We didn't really. I mean, it's such a part of my like bones in terms of like the Muppets. Like that, there wasn't really like it's always like the most important thing with any movie is tone. And I feel like both Jason and I, like the Muppets tone has inspired everything I've done. Like I think that I could point to any one of my movies, even something as dirty as Neighbors or Get Into the Greek, and be like, there's a Muppet sensibility somewhere in there. in terms of it being warm, in terms of being goofy, in terms of it being like legitimately funny. Like I think that's just so it's really tone is really what the most important thing. And then getting James Bobin to direct the movie meant we had like the guy who knew every single Muppet on Earth, and also Jason knows a ton of Muppets. So I think like so I think between the three of us, we were covered in terms of having a deep Muppet knowledge. And then having said that, like then the script goes to the Muppeteers, and they also were like, "Oh, this could be funny, or this Muppet could be funny." It's a constant collaboration. So like they're also pitching stuff. They're also saying like this character wouldn't really do that, or this character. They've lived with these characters for so many years. And at first we were like, "Don't tell us what to do," and then we were like, "Wait a minute, they've lived with this stuff forever," and it became this great collaboration. So yeah.
Well, I mean, a lot of your films are quite Muppety as they are. Like, again, getting to the Greek, you put Animal and Scooter into those two roles, you basically got the same film.
Exactly.
Something like Storks as well. Storks is quite Muppety.
Oh yeah.
I remember thinking that when I was watching it. And then Joe, you were saying something earlier.
So I wanted to tell you, I was a couple months ago. I was watching the Dora the Explorer movie on Hulu or something like that, and I'm watching it. I'm going, man, this movie is fun. Like it's really fun and it's funny. And I said to myself, whoever made this movie, they should be doing the next Muppet movie. It's perfectly in tone with the Muppets. And then I go on IMDb and I say, oh, it's you and James Bobin. Of course, it feels like a Muppet movie.
Yeah, that's
so
like the third.
I thought you'd
Muppet
appreciate
movie.
that. There it is. That's your third one. Is Dora?
Yeah, it's like a jungle movie. Yeah.
For sure. No, that movie is great, and
Yeah.
I mean, if people haven't seen it, they're sleeping on it. I mean,
yeah,
it's
didn't.
Fantastic. It's very Muppety.
It was a very weird experience because Paramount was awesome. They let us make this crazy movie, and then they didn't market it like what it was, which was this big, funny, smart movie. They they were like afraid of the movie or something. It was a very strange experience, and so people are like, don't know it's good, and then they see it and they're like, that was actually pretty good, and I was like, yeah, it's a good movie. It's like a funny movie.
That's it. I think it was Reddit is where I sort of went, oh, maybe this film's not bad. Like my nieces wanted to watch it, and I was like, oh yeah, all right, we'll have a look. And I looked it up on the movie subreddit, and people are going, this movie is excellent. And I was like, all right, let's sit down and watch it. And then again, I see your name and James Bobin's names, and I'm like, all right, we're in for a fun time. And it was excellent.
Yeah, it was really weird, and it was a thing too where when it came out and all the early reviews were good, I could feel the studio being like, uh-oh, we've marketed this wrong, because like it was like they just didn't. It was like the people who the development people got it, and I don't know. It also was maybe a hard movie to market. Like Dora is like a character for very little kids, and we were aging it up, so it wasn't like the easiest marketing job, but it is a super fun movie, and I don't think it got out there. And then it was this weird sleeper hit where it didn't open big, but it just like lasted forever because people were like, this is good. So
but Dora, I mean, like you say, like they they maybe didn't know how to market it. I feel like the same exact thing happened with Muppets Most Wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny, we've done like live events, Muppet related events in the city, and whenever we do something related to Muppets Most Wanted, I always say, okay, raise your hands. Who actually went to see this movie in the theater? And like a room full of Muppet fans, and you get like 5 hands in the air.
It's so crazy.
And it's like, where were you guys? What was it? And
I mean, I have
my own theories. You saw it 5 times?
5 times.
In the theater? I think I saw it 3 or 4. It's hard to remember, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on like what was wrong with the marketing, what happened there.
I have no idea.
It really is like it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Because at the time I was like, the marketing seems fine. I really don't know. I don't know if it had been, before the Muppets came out, there'd been a lot of like direct to video stuff, which had kind of, this is more of a marketing thing, but like I think had made the brand confusing to people. And then they kind of quieted it all down for a while before the Muppets, and the Muppets came out as this big splashy thing. And it literally might have been that we came out with a movie too quickly after the Muppets, that we should have waited 3 years or 4 years, maybe. they're also, but the marketing at the time, I remember seeing trailers and stuff and being like, it seems good. When I would watch the Dora trailers, I'd be like, something is off. This isn't the movie we made. But like, there wasn't anything they were doing with Muppets Most Wanted that I was like, this is, and I'll say this too about Dora, and that they put a ton of money behind it. So it's not like it was a good experience. It just was like, it just should have done better, which I think the studio would say as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But Muppets Most Wanted, I don't know. Like the only conclusion I could come to was that it came maybe too quickly on the heels of the first Muppets, and people were like, "Oh, I'll wait to see that on video," or whatever. I don't know, but because it is such a fun movie, it's such a funny movie, and it has the same crowd pleasing experience that any movie that does well has. So I don't know. I mean, what did people say when you ask them if they haven't seen it? Why they didn't see it in theaters?
Why they didn't see it? Nobody really has an answer. They always kind of go like, I don't know, like I just didn't go. And I think, I mean, for me, and I think this probably ties into what you're saying about how maybe it came a little bit too close to the first film. But the 2011 Muppet movie, when it came out, there was like this sense of urgency because it's like the Muppets were gone, now they're back. You have to go see the Muppets because they're back. And so everyone went, yes, we have to go see the Muppets because they're back. Muppets Most Wanted comes out, and there's no like, okay, like now there's another thing, and it wasn't like, well, we have to go again. It was like, well, the Muppets are here. They've been around since the 70s. They'll always be around. We're used to them again. And so all that urgency was gone. And I personally feel like yes, they did a good job with like the trailers looked good, and the appearances on like talk shows and stuff were all good, but like the print advertising was garbage because it was all recycled photos, and there's no merchandise on the shelves for people to buy and like put that Muppet thing on their desk so they can look at it every day. I don't know like what else they could have done. I mean, it's obviously a lot of money involved, so it's well above my pay grade to make those decisions. But whatever it was, it's just like they couldn't figure out a way to get people to go, ooh, yes, I will spend another $10 to $15.
I also think Muppets Most Wanted came at a time where Disney wasn't 100% sure what they were doing with the Muppets. Like, that came out, and then not long later, those Muppet Moments came out with the kids on Disney Junior, and it was quite childish. And then, like 6 months later, the 2015 Muppet series comes out, which is the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah. And when you look at that sort of 12, 18 months as a collective, it couldn't be more different. So it could have just been people weren't quite sure what their relationship with the Muppets was going to be going forward. Yes, it was easy for us because we're Muppet nerds to be like, oh, great, the Muppets are here.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Weird. It was weird with us too. It just is not. I think that Jim Henson is the Muppets, and he died, and no one is the Muppets since him, and no one can really claim ownership of it. And I mean, he passed away young, so he didn't have some plan to like be like, you guys, he didn't write I don't know if he wrote a Bible. I don't think he did. We would have seen it. So there wasn't like a plan to pass it on to other people. When we came onto the Muppets, the person at Disney who was in charge of the Muppets was literally also in charge of events at Disney, like parties. I mean, literally, that's who was in charge of it. It made no sense. Like, it wasn't like, no offense to that person whose name I've since forgotten. It's not their job. They're like in charge of events and like party planning and stuff. Like, why would they care about Muppets? And so we were just like, and it was one of those things where like, and then obviously all the Muppeteers themselves have very strong opinions as to how it should be dealt with too. I a little bit felt like after the success of the first of the Muppets, Disney should have called me, James, and Jason and been like, it's yours, to do what you want with. But they didn't because of who knows how many political things. It also doesn't make sense. We didn't invent the Muppets. Jim Henson did. So why would they do that? But I think there was something tonally very correct about the Muppets and about Muppets Most Wanted in terms of what makes it work. I wouldn't say that's true of other things they've made recently, in terms of the tone. So we're just trying to emulate the tone that Jim Henson did. It's not like, we're just trying to do what he did, which is very hard,
For sure.
But but it's just hard. I mean, it's hard to know, with any kind of giant bureaucracy, it's just hard. And they've done a great job with it for the most part. I mean, they let us make 2 crazy movies, and it was really fun, But I think I don't know.
Well, I hope that someday they let you guys do a third, because I would love to see what you could do with a trilogy.
Yeah, it'd
I
be
know
fun
every
to do
time I
something for
see like
Disney
a
Plus. Definitely, that'd be fun.
yeah, that
Yeah.
would be amazing.
Yeah.
I know every time I see like the new movie, written by you or directed by James is announced, I always think like, God, I hope it's like the biggest hit ever, and then Disney says, "Okay, guys, like whatever you want to do for your next project, just let us know." And you go, "Okay, we want to do the third Muppet movie." And
Right.
you go, "All right, fine. Here's a few $1 million. Have fun."
It made me excited to look at Disney Plus that their sub menus are like Star Wars, Marvel, princesses, and Muppets. Like it is one of their
Yeah.
main like menus where I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Well, it's like, have you seen the second Wreck-It Ralph movie?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
So there's like I mean, you don't really know unless you like are looking way in the background and you pause your screen or something like that. But like when they go into like the Disney side of the internet, the big like I don't know what you call them, the buildings where you could go check out Disney content are like Star Wars, Pixar, and Muppets. And it's like, right, because the people who made the movie, that's how they see the Muppets. They love them, but it's like, wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be amazing if Disney saw Muppets as the same kind of moneymaker, the same kind of business as a Pixar or a Princess
I
or
think
a
that
Star Wars?
the Muppets, and this is true of any great art, pop art, is that like they've been kind of they've been copied so many times, and like now they're part of the DNA of Marvel, and they're part of the DNA. The silliness of Marvel, I think, is all this stuff, or these like Pixar movies, the kind of goofiness of a lot of the Pixar movies. It goes so it's been kind of taken for spare parts in a way. Like it's like I always remember for years people were like, you have to see Midnight Run, you have to see Midnight Run. And I finally saw it and I was like, that was pretty boring. And it's because it's been salvaged. It's like every two people on the Run movie has ripped off Midnight Run. It's not when that movie came
That's
out,
right.
and I think the same thing's happened with Muppets. It's just been like ripped off so many times. Not ripped off, that's not the right word, but like the idea, the breaking the fourth wall, like every time like one of the characters in Marvel is like, yeah, I'm Ant-Man. That's a kind of dumb name. Like, I'm like, that's like literally a Muppet joke. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
And so I think it's like, it becomes harder to make the original thing fresh when that's happening. And it's just like a natural, that's true of everything, I don't think that's true of Muppets.
And I'm sure it's like doubly hard for such an old franchise where you gotta balance between, well, we want to do the same thing that they were doing back in the 70s and 80s because that's what Jim would have done, or that's when they were at their peak, or that's how people define them. And at the same time, you want to do something fresh and new and put your own fingerprints on it and things like that. But you kind of can't have both. You gotta choose one or the other, and you're gonna end up disappointing someone one way or another.
Yes, yeah, definitely. There's certain things you just can't do with the Muppets. There's certain rules you just can't break. It would blow up the whole thing. And that's just, and it's not, it was invented by Jim Henson in the 70s. That's its foundation.
Well, Nick, you've been very kind to us to give us your time. Like I said, I'm genuinely a giant fan. This is the highlight of my year so far. We wrap up every episode with a set of questions. Joe has his own. I have my own. This week it's me. So just rapid fire, as quick as you can. Question 1, what is your favorite TV show?
The Office.
Great choice. Would you rather be able to fly or become invisible?
Fly.
Is soup a food or a drink?
Food.
Okay, see, I'm gonna get you to expand on that one, because that one's been quite a contentious question. Why is it a food rather than a drink when it's a liquid?
Because it's really hot. Unless it's gazpacho.
So is coffee. So's tea.
But it's hot and thick.
Yeah, right. Well, fair enough.
I feel like if it was cold and thick, gazpacho gets into a gray zone where like it's a Bloody Mary. Gazpacho I could have but hot and thick, you're really dealing with oatmeals, oatmeal, grits, congee, and soup. I just had soup for lunch too, so.
Okay, so if anyone...
You didn't drink soup for lunch.
But cold soups like borscht, that's a cold borscht, that's like that's getting closer to a drink.
All right, well, if anyone's qualified to make a decision, it's the man who had soup for lunch. If a tree falls in a forest and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
This
There's
was
sound
asked,
waves. Great sound waves.
so this was asked by our last guest, Muppet performer Jen Barnhart. What is the most embarrassing thing you've never admitted?
The most embarrassing thing I've never admitted. I don't know if I would admit that here.
Oh, that's such a good cop out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to give that to you.
Yeah.
Finally, without knowing who it is, what question would you like our next guest to answer?
Oof. When was the last time you farted?
Excellent.
Great. It's gonna, you know what? It's gonna end up being someone really famous. It's gonna be like like Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm so sorry, Queen.
Like the
Your
last-
Majesty.
Well, not the story, but literally how many minutes or hours or whatever before.
How long ago?
Yeah, how long ago?
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent. I can't wait for Queen
I look
Elizabeth to
forward to
answer that
asking.
question.
Yeah.
Well, Nick, thank you so much. This has genuinely been a pleasure. Thank you for all you've done, not only Muppet-wise, but again, for getting Sarah Marshall, one of my all-time favorite films.
Thanks so much.
So this has truly been... my brother was very jealous that I was doing this. So it's just nice to rub this in his face.
It sounds good, bro. You use it all you can.